Hi, everybody. It's Kim and Betsy from Fleece and Harmony. And this is our 100th podcast episode. Yes, 100. It's very exciting. We have all kinds of flowers. People sent flowers.
Yeah.
Betsy sent me this bouquet. Yeah. And somebody, anonymous, sent this one.
Beautiful.
Yes,
gorgeous one. We're hiding in the flowers.
Yes. Yeah. And it's great. They're so big though. We're going to put them to the side. And so I should do the real welcome. Welcome to everybody. This is the Fleece and Harmony Knitting Podcast. No, you're not at the Chelsea Flower Show. You're here, right here on Fleece and Harmony. I just got BritBox last week.
Oh, yeah.
So,
nice.
Been watching the Chelsea Flower Show.
You got BritBox and that, sorry.
Yeah. No, I've been watching other things.
No,
I'm watching other things too.
I'm teasing.
So this is a knitting podcast and crochet podcast, and we're recording it on July 5th. You'll be watching it on July 8th if you're right on the button when it's published. And it's being recorded in the yarn shop, the Fleece and Harmony yarn shop in the woolen mill on the sheep farm in Belfast, Prince Edward Island. And Betsy doesn't usually sit with me at the introduction.
Not at the beginning.
No, at the beginning, but she is today because we're going to change it up a little bit. So this is the 100th episode. So Betsy made the suggestion that maybe she should interview me. Yeah. Ask all the questions that people want to know.
Are dying to know about Kim.
Yeah. And I agreed.
Good.
Reluctantly.
Good. So if I reference my questions, please don't mind me. If I'm looking down, I'm just looking down at my sheet because I'm not likely to remember everything off the top of my head.
Yeah, she had quite a list of questions.
Well, we'll go with it and see where it leads.
Yes. Okay. So, and I promised her that I'll answer everyone. I'll have an answer. I'll have an answer for everything.
Nice. Some might be quick and easy. Others a little more in depth.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, should we get right into it?
I guess so. We should just go, and we'll do the regular stuff for the podcast after this, and we have all of the regular stuff, our Wallflower update, and we have I have a five list again. This time it's sweaters for men, which was not easy, I have to say, today. And then we'll do the rest of the regular stuff after.
Wonderful.
So. Go shoot, Betsy.
Okay.
All right.
So, relatively briefly,
right.
Tell us what brought you here today. So maybe a little bit about like your education, some of your employment history, just kind of a few of those major life events that led you to this.
All right. Well, my education and employment history have nothing to do with what I'm doing now.
But that's part of your story.
Yeah, that's part of my story. So I started off in, after high school, I went to Dalhousie University in Nova Scotia, and I was taking sciences because I thought I wanted to be a doctor.
Ooh,
yes.
Okay.
So that didn't work out. So I got partway through and then realized that I wasn't, I don't know. It wasn't my thing. It wasn't my thing. So I got a job and I decided I was going to sell cosmetics. So I was working at the cosmetic department in Eaton's.
Right.
Yeah, okay. So that gives you an idea of how long ago it was. My parents were mortified but supportive.
Well, I guess. I can understand. It's not, it's turned out all just fine.
Yeah,
but at the moment, doctor to Eaton's, maybe. Yeah.
Yes, it's just selling cosmetics. So then I really loved it. So I wanted to become a sales rep. Okay. And my dad was a sales rep. Yes. So I thought, well, I'm like just following in his footsteps. Right. So so I got a full-time job. And I was a Lancôme sales rep for Atlantic Canada. Okay. But it really bugged me that I didn't finish my university degree. So I went back to school while I was traveling around Atlantic Canada. So I actually went back to school and was going to finish my science degree, but they wouldn't allow, at that time, me to take it part-time.
Oh,
because with sciences you have labs and stuff like that.
Oh, right.
So then I switched to commerce. So I took a commerce degree.
Well, now this might play into the rest of your life.
Yes, if I had finished it. It's kind of like casting on more than one sweater.
Yep.
So I had part of my science degree And I used like a bunch of credits, and transferred a bunch of credits. So I got a head start on my commerce degree.
Okay.
I was doing that. And then I got a letter from Dalhousie at some point and said, your science credits are going to expire because it is sciences. Your credits are only good for so many years because technology and everything changes.
Okay.
So I checked with them to see if they had changed their policy about labs, and they did, because I had less to do to finish my science degree than I did it. So I finished my science degree.
Well, there you go.
So that's it. So all of that just
was there.
And it seems to me that there's parallels to that in my life, my knitting life.
All this time, were you working at Eaton's?
No.
Or had you moved to Lancome at that point?
I was a sales rep for Atlantic Canada for Lancome. So I actually traveled 2 weeks out of every month, and I managed to finish my degree with only being there part-time. Part-time, but I finished it. I did finish it.
Good for
and
you.
if anybody knows anything about me, I might not finish it quickly, but I always finish something.
Okay.
I have to finish stuff. I have to finish stuff. So that was it. So then one thing led to another with Lancome. It was owned by L'Oreal, and then then I was promoted through L'Oreal, and then,
so they were all linked to one. Okay.
Yes, and I think by the time I became a director, my mother could relax. It was going to be okay.
It was going to be all right.
Yeah.
Good.
I think they thought it was going to be okay anyway. They were really supportive. So
good. Well, and that's what counts in the end.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, schooling is about learning how to learn and figuring out what works for you and what doesn't.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
We can't always put too much pressure on direct path.
No, I think that the issue is that I was the first person in my family that was actually going to finish a degree.
Oh, do a post-secondary.
Yes, a post-secondary degree. So that was kind of the thing. But in the end, I mean, I did finish it.
Yeah, it worked out.
It was I was a biology major with a minor in psych. So I said, just trust me, I used the psychology more than I used the biology. And
very
in
good.
Sales, so
good. So just maybe to kind of give us a picture of when and this is all happening, can I ask where at this point does Ken come into the picture?
Well, I was still working behind the Lancome cosmetic. So also I got married.
Okay. Just throw that in there too.
Yeah. So we got married when I was 23.
Okay.
So I was the sales rep. And then actually it happened all at the same time. I got the job with Lancome, and then Ken and I got married really at the same time.
At the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. Where some people, it's funny because I got married at 22 and I get mixed kind of reviews on that. Some folks think that's really quite young. Others don't react to it at all.
Yeah.
So I think it just depends on who you're talking to.
I think by today's standards,
it's young.
It seems like it's young.
Yeah. But I always say we got to grow up together.
Yes.
Do you feel that way at all? Yeah.
Yes. I think, when are we coming up to 35 years or something like that? So
clearly it's working. So
yes.
There we go.
We grew up together. Oh. But I don't think that it's young by today's, but we had a lot of responsibility.
And you were clearly well on your way into employment and education.
So we were talking about that a little bit today, is that I started working when I was 15.
Yeah.
Because I wanted things. So
kind of connected. Want money to buy things?
Yes, I wanted money to buy things, and so I got a job. So it was that doesn't happen as much.
No, it's a little different. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, we won't get into it. It's different for everyone.
Yeah.
So the audience, I'm sure, would love to know a little bit about Ken. Can you give us just a brief bit of what he was doing during this time?
Yep. So we actually met at I wasn't at Eaton's anymore. I went to Sears to be full-time on the Lancome counter, and Ken was in the hardware department.
Oh, a hardware department boy.
Yeah, hardware department boy. So we met there, and we were actually friends for quite a long time. There was a little group of us that used to go for coffee. We always had our coffee breaks together, and so there was another woman and another guy that the four of us always went for coffee together. And then he asked me out to the Christmas party, the Sears Christmas party. And that's where it all started.
Oh, yeah. And so that was the first official date.
The first official date.
Nice.
Yes.
Very good.
And then that was.
Do you remember what you wore?
Do I remember what I wore? No.
Sorry, that was
But
just a random
what
one.
No, I don't remember what I wore, but I remember the fact that he didn't try to kiss me goodnight.
Oh.
And I said, well, after we were married, I said, yeah, and you never even tried to kiss me goodnight. He goes, yeah, I knew what would work with you. I said, okay.
Playing the long game.
Yeah.
There you go. And look where you are today.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Again.
So I was like arguing with him, saying, well, that didn't work. And he goes, we've been married for what, that time, like whatever long. He said, I think it worked.
I think it worked. Well done, Ken.
Yeah.
Well done. All right, I'll take a little peek here. So how about a little bit, just again, briefly, where you grew up, a little bit about your childhood, maybe like, how did you spend your free time as a kid? Were you a reader, a video game player, outside all the time, sort of that?
There were no video games.
No, Betsy.
That's the first thing. So that knocked that one off the list. So, remember the conversation about the clubs?
Yes, okay.
So the internet was only discovered in, I think it was 1989 or something like that. So,
all right.
No video games.
So then, for those of the younger viewers, what on earth did you do?
Yeah, really. What do I read a lot? I like to read.
Okay.
Yeah, so I read, and there was TV. It wasn't black and white.
Cars?
Yeah.
Did you have a car?
Yeah, we had a car. Walked 10 miles and uphill both ways to school.
Oh.
No, that's not true. Anyway, I don't know. We played outside.
Nice.
Like we were outside a lot.
Yeah, so
like
you liked that?
Yeah,
That was...
and my family liked to camp, and so we went camping and stuff like that. And we did, I don't know, you had your friends and you disappeared, like you just we weren't at home.
Okay.
Like we weren't at home
about.
sitting in the house. We're just out and about, skating in the winter.
And so would Halifax have been like still very much a city at that point?
Yeah, but we lived in the, now it's not considered the suburbs because the city has grown out past it, but we were in the suburbs.
Like a suburb.
Yeah.
Okay. So riding your bikes down the street kind of thing was fine.
That's right.
Nice.
Yeah,
good.
So.
And also, so then with that, maybe a little bit about your family. So siblings, do you have any? Where do you fall in the family? What were mom and dad up to when you were a kid?
Yep. So my father was in sales.
Right.
So he traveled around all over Atlantic Canada as a sales rep. So he did that. And my mom is actually, was a laboratory technologist.
Yes.
They're very particular about that.
Right.
So anyway, a lab tech. So she did that. So we're always worked in hospitals.
Oh, okay.
It made for some interesting dinner conversations.
I imagine it would.
Yeah. So there's nothing really that phases us at talking about anything like that. And yes, I have two sisters, Jennifer. If the viewers know about Jennifer.
Yes. Yeah.
Who's doing great, by the way.
Wonderful.
So everybody wants to know what she's doing. So she started her own company.
Yes.
If you want to know the details, she talks about it in episode 73. And she's doing fine.
Great.
So her company is Harmony Island Spice Company.
And I think you can find her on Instagram if you go take a peek
Yeah.
under that
and they have
company
a website
name.
and
Wonderful.
everything. Yeah, so you can find her there.
And
I have, so Jennifer is actually the youngest in our family. So she's
baby.
10 years younger than me.
Okay.
But I have another sister, Michelle, who's just a year younger than me.
Oh,
We're
okay.
almost
So
exactly a year apart.
I'm 5 years behind my siblings, and they felt like they grew up, or I felt like they were in a different world compared to me. Yeah.
So, but Michelle and I were like dressed like twins when we were kids and everything. So, so she's in Halifax, and she's she's a grandmother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she's got 3 kids.
Wonderful.
Yeah, 3 children. 2 of them already have children of
So
their
she
own and
hasn't
stuff
gone
like that.
too far from home. She's
No,
in the
and
Halifax area.
she works in the education system.
Okay.
So yeah,
Nice.
Yeah.
Very good.
So
Wonderful.
that's
All right, I got to take another quick peek here.
Yeah.
So what led you from being in management or being in sales at a makeup company to suddenly waking up one day and going, I think I'll be a sheep farmer. How does that happen? I'm not really seeing the connection there.
Yeah, so it was more, the question wasn't, I think I'll be the comment wasn't I think I'll be a sheep farmer. It was, how do I get out of here?
Oh,
so it was, I've been working in the corporate world for 25 years.
Okay.
And in Montreal, we were in Montreal, and commuting back and forth to downtown from the suburbs. I was on the road 3 hours a day.
Oh, okay.
And it was just, I don't know, it was starting to get too much. It was too much of everything. And it was, I actually, the very beginning of the whole thing is that I started horseback riding. Oh. And when I was at the barn, I was always happy there.
That was
and
your
I would
place.
help with the
nice.
chores, and I would show up early for my lessons and muck out stalls and stuff like that. So
exactly where you didn't need to be wearing makeup or worrying about makeup.
The exact opposite of what that was. And then I thought, well, I'm happy there.
Okay.
So why am I? And I wasn't like I was unhappy where I was, but it was just like it had become unfulfilling.
Looking for a change.
For a change.
Okay.
So then I started planning. So
I'm still curious, like, how do sheep come to mind then? Or like, do you just start looking at all different livestock, or how do you zone in on sheep?
Because, so Jennifer and I hatched this plan together. So we decided that we wanted to move back to the Maritimes.
Right.
And we didn't really know what we wanted to do there, because it wasn't like what were we going to do. And so then the whole conversation was, well, where are you happiest? I'm happy in the barn. Okay, so then we need to get a barn.
Okay.
So what are you going to put in the barn? And then it just so happens that I play the bagpipes, and my pipe major of the band that I was playing with in Montreal was a shepherdess. Oh. So she had a farm with sheep on it, and she said, come out to the farm and see what you think. Oh. And so she said, if you want to have a farm, she said, I think sheep, if you want to have livestock, then sheep are a good thing to start with. Because they're kind of easy to handle.
Okay. Yeah, you're not as large as cattle. Like even just land size that you need.
Yeah.
Is not.
And they're nice. Yeah. They're nice animals.
They're cute.
Yeah.
They're cute.
They're nice animals.
Yeah.
So it's we kind of just went with the flow. Like we said, like, okay, well that sounds good, and we can't think of anything better, so let's do that.
Well, and I can't picture you as a pig farmer.
No. So and cows really don't do much
for you.
Yeah. But she was a little sneaky too. She invited us right at lambing time.
Oh,
yeah.
That's pretty hard to say no to that.
Yeah, none. So we didn't see any of the stuff that goes on with lambing is hard work.
Yes, you just saw the cute, fluffy result.
Yes, exactly. So anyway, and so that's what we did. We just tried to find 100 acres. That's what we were looking for. And that ended up being really hard. You would think that in rural places you'd be able to find a 100-acre farm, but they don't really exist much anymore.
Okay.
They've all been amalgamated into huge farms.
Right.
So, giant farms at least 1,500 acres or something like that.
Cash cropped or have cattle all over them or something of that sort.
Or they're broken up into hobby farms.
Yes, okay.
So
tiny.
15 acres.
Too small for...
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So then we found this farm.
So is that the result? PEI was the result of looking for the right amount of space and land.
So we started looking in Nova Scotia, but the land was outrageously expensive. Okay. And since we didn't even know if we would be successful farmers, that didn't seem to be the way to go.
Okay.
And the other thing is that we made a promise to ourselves that we would downsize our lives, our whole lives, that if we had to get a job at Tim Hortons to survive, then we'd be able to afford it.
Okay.
So that eliminated a lot.
Well, yeah, a lot of places. But wise thinking. Yeah.
So that was how we thought about it, and we looked in New Brunswick.
Okay.
We didn't. I don't know. It's nothing against New Brunswick.
No, but if you've never been there, it's rustic. I think I can say that. Like,
well, I don't know.
No?
It's just not. The real reason, because there's lots of beautiful places in New Brunswick as well, but we also took time to meet with the departments of agriculture in every province that we were in, and they didn't seem to be as open to new farmers. And so PEI is actually very well organized if you're coming here to become a farmer, because agriculture is still so important to the economy, you know, balancing everything else.
And we are certainly surrounded by it for sure.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, and even as you drive, like, it's not like, oh, you drive out of the farming community. As you drive the whole island, you'll find it.
There's farms. There's farms
all the way across. Yeah.
And the Department of Agriculture was, I would say, the Department of Agriculture in Nova Scotia and the Department of Agriculture in PEI are both kind of similar, like forward thinking.
Okay.
They have programs for new farmers.
Nice.
And I think they actually, I don't think they work together per se, but I think they kind of are developing the same kind of things at the same time.
Okay.
And so if the land was too expensive in Nova Scotia, then PEI was definitely the next. And we were absolutely right about that. They have really, really great, if you want to get into farming and you know nothing, they're totally supportive. They're really
great support systems behind you.
Yeah,
Good,
great. Like, we took courses. There was a program that helps mentor you for like 3 or 4 years, young farmers. But you don't have to be young. You can be older, but
young
new
to the
farmers.
Farming community.
Yeah. New farmers, I guess. So
yes, because you had mentioned at one point too that you took an actual like shepherdessing or shepherding course. Was that here on PEI?
That was they funded us to take it from PEI, but it was at the agricultural college that's affiliated with or part of Dalhousie in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
So there was people from PEI that went there to do that. Yeah.
Nice.
The Modern Shepherd it was called. So and it was like modules. I think there was 4 or 5 modules, and you went on the weekends for
modules, like just meaning like a short amount of time, right?
They have the program timed so that right before you were going to lamb, you learned about lambing.
Oh wow!
When you when it would be time to fence, like in the whenever, but one of the modules was about fencing and like the structural part of farming, barns and things like that.
So it's like, come do your theory, go home and do the practicum.
Yeah. So they timed it so that you had the lambing course, and then you would lamb within the next couple of months.
This is very well thought out.
Very well thought out. And then things about pasture and stuff like that. You took that before your sheep would go out on pasture.
Right.
So because there's all kinds of things like parasites and stuff like that to learn.
Yeah, it's not. You can't really just jump on a farm and grab a bunch of animals.
No.
So
some people think they can.
But it can make for some.
I wouldn't recommend it.
It can make for some harsh realities. I think when that's the choice of route. So well done to like research it and learn, and good on you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move into, I have a few short questions here as life as a sheep farmer.
Okay.
So what is your favorite aspect of caring for sheep? Or maybe like your favorite moment in the day that you're doing sheepy things?
Well, I think it's actually in the mornings when we're feeding them.
Okay.
Yeah, our sheep are a little bit not like the typical sheep, but they all come up for their scratches and stuff, and everybody knows now that we're looking after Diva. But it's quiet. They're all, and especially this time of year, they're all very relaxed, and it's a nice time.
A nice time of day. Most difficult part about sheep farming?
When something doesn't make it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really hard. And people really find it hard to reconcile the fact that you're a livestock farmer. And I mean, we started off as a lamb, like market lambs. That's what and they find it hard to reconcile that if you love animals so much, how can you have market lambs or whatever? But we've said this before, is that we love animals, but we're not vegetarians.
Right.
So we prefer to make sure that animals are well looked after, that it's done well. So that's kind of how we reconciled it for ourselves. Having said that, now that we've moved into the wool business and are not doing market lambs anymore, that is much more pleasant all the way around.
All the way around.
Yeah.
So maybe it'll be more like in terms of as the sheep age, as we hear the story of Diva, what happens there, that kind of
so that's going to be set. Now they're pets.
Right.
So, so that's a whole other. That's
now
a
they're
whole other
full-time
thing.
pets.
Yeah. So that's that's a whole other thing. But that is the hardest part. Is like, there's lots of heartbreak in farming.
In farming.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing it with us. I mean, we're all enjoying the journey and the stories that Diva has to tell us.
Yes.
And we all know that day will come.
Yes.
So,
But, so she's doing great right
now.
Yes.
Yeah, but you've said she's 20.
She's 20 with no teeth.
Right.
So.
So MASH will only take you so far.
Yeah. Well, anyway, she's doing fine now.
Good. And your favorite place to be on the farm? Like location, actual location of it.
You know, I think it might be in the morning. I give the horses their little supplements. They get like a little scoop of mineral, so it's not they're not fed grain or anything, but just this little their vitamins like mineral.
Getting it all.
And I find that's my favorite place. In the horse pasture. The sun is always like right there. Sometimes when you go out and look over, it reminds me of days when there's like dew on the grass and stuff, of those kind of pictures that you see when you watch horse movies and they show Kentucky with the, you know, like the idea.
You
like,
live that every
I
morning.
wouldn't say that our pasture looks like a beautiful field in Kentucky, but it kind of has that kind of.
And some mornings it probably gets pretty close.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Yeah.
Your favorite season on the farm?
Fall.
And why?
Well, first of all, there's not a lot of mud.
Oh, that's true.
Because the spring has a lot of mud. Fall is beautiful here in PEI. Okay. It's still really warm, for relatively speaking. And, you know, everything is mature, like the plants are mature, so it's not like the grass, it's full, it looks full.
Full, okay.
Yeah, and we have a wood lot that has hardwood and softwood, so it's becomes beautiful.
The colors
in October,
will change.
The colors, and
yeah. So, if you have a favorite season, let's see if your least favorite is what I would guess.
Mud season. Yeah. So there's 2 mud seasons.
I thought you were going to say that.
Yeah. Winter is not bad for me. I don't mind winter, but when it's really just wet and cold for days on end,
wet is hard.
Yeah, April, May is not great.
And I assume those little hooves can really like pound up the mud too.
Yeah, but it's here in PEI. It's a lot of clay in the mud, in the earth, so it goes like, it becomes chocolate pudding. You must have experienced that.
We call it PEI pudding at our house.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. That's it. It's chocolate pudding.
It's just very different from, I mean, soils everywhere will be different. Yeah. And so we would try to explain it, but you could have a whole different kind of soil that we've never experienced. Yeah. So it's different from where I grew up.
Yeah. There's not a lot of rock and gravel.
No.
It's chocolate pudding.
Chocolate pudding.
Yeah. Or then hard.
Yes.
Hard as a rock.
I have found that though. It drains out really quickly, which I appreciate. So once you get some dry days, it doesn't take long, but when it's wet, it's gross.
Yeah, we've actually had cars stuck in our parking lot that Ken's had to get the truck and pull them out, tow them out. Yes, true story.
Get them on their way.
That's why we sometimes, if you come in the spring, and sometimes in the late fall, depending if it's not freezing, and we have a rope across the driveway. It's not because we don't want to welcome you. It's because your car might get stuck.
We don't want you to be stuck here overnight.
Yeah. Exactly. Up to your ribs.
And do you have a particular animal that has claimed your heart above some of the others? I mean, maybe it's not fair to ask you to pick favorites, but is there somebody who you just can't wait to see each day? Aside from Ken.
Yeah. I actually don't think so.
Okay.
I think that I mean, there's always, I guess, favorites, but and people might think it's diva because we're looking, but she's not she's not really the most friendly sheep that we have. She's getting friendlier. I think I figured out that because the mash that we make for her is it's alfalfa, chopped alfalfa, and we have to soak it overnight. And we've been soaking it overnight, but sometimes in the morning, on especially warm days, it's like bubbling. So I think it's fermenting.
She's getting cider on the side.
I think she's getting drunk every morning. That's
we'll never know if the wobble is age or
that's right.
a little bit of the mash.
She kind of walks like funny anyway, but I think it might be the mash. So anyway, so now she's very friendly. But there's lots of ones that have different personalities and stuff. So
nice. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Nice, fair animal lover.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a lot about like farm and such. Maybe we should talk a little knitting.
Okay.
So, what was your introduction to knitting? And do you have a sample of one of your earliest knits?
Yes. So I knew you were going to ask me that. So I brought my first sweater that I made. So
you need to show it.
Yeah, I'm going to. Yes.
But first, tell us like how knitting came into your life.
I think my grandmother taught me. Okay. Both of my grandmothers knit. And my mother knit as well, but I think Mom, we as young children, we stayed with my grandmother. Okay. Well, my mom worked; she babysat us for a little while, and I'm pretty sure it was I was young, like 8 or.
Now, do you
9.
like? Can you remember and visualize and see her knitting? Like, do you know she was a knitter?
Well, I know, yes, both of them. I was both there when they were knitting. Yeah, both grandmothers. And my mother as well. So I was surrounded by knitting. So so I took that up, and I crocheted as well a little bit. Okay. But that didn't stick.
Not as the same as knitting. Okay, so let's see it.
Okay. So I don't know what I knit when I was young, but I just know that I knit.
You were knitting.
I have no idea what it was. But when I guess at the very end of high school, I actually made something that I would wear. Okay. And you'll be very...
Here, I'll help you get it out here.
So I should have probably washed and blocked it. So this is it, my first sweater.
Let's give it a good show here. There it is. Look at that beauty.
Yeah. Look at the size of it.
So is this like pieced in blocks even?
No, it's...
no, so this wasn't...
No, it should have been intarsia.
I was going to say, did you do intarsia right off?
Yeah, and color work. So why start with something
straightforward?
Yeah. Okay. So it's got marling because you use the red and the black together. Okay. And then you have it's mohair held double.
That's mohair.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
I know. It's supposed to be mohair. Okay. I actually have skeins of this yarn in my stash.
Still left.
So I should look to see if it's actually mohair or not. But it's because it's pretty thick. And you can see the seams are like sewn together like a baseball.
Yeah. Well, I was noticing you did choose to seam up with black on the red. Yes. Not criticizing, just noticing.
And there's holes like where the two colors have joined because I didn't really know how to do intarsia, and now I know it's intarsia. And there's a knot right in the yarn right there, in the front.
But Kim, for a first garment, it has some shape. The sleeves here I can see have some billowing and then come back in. Yeah, like you could wear this.
Yeah,
and I mean we're laughing a little bit about the pattern, but at the time this was fully acceptable and
look how Maddie and Cookie Monstery it was like.
You wore it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it.
There it is. Yeah. All right. Well, that's a precious keepsake.
Yes. We'll put that right in the museum.
It's got fairly even floats in there too.
Yeah.
You knew what you were doing.
I don't know how those floats. So yes, there's floats where there's no color work.
Oh right, okay.
So I carried it instead of doing. Oh, and look at that! And I must have forgot it.
Just tack it down a bit.
Yeah. So
everyone always asks to see the inside of work. I usually don't show mine, but you go ahead and
So and then this doesn't even look like it's joined. Okay. So this should have been just a black intarsia, but I did this. And then look at the beauties, the floats over here.
Yeah, they're lovely.
Come a long way, baby. The real potential finger traps right there.
Yeah, you just had to go in careful.
Yeah,
nice and slow.
Yeah. Oh, look, and that's yeah. So that's it.
Well, thanks for sharing that with us.
I did wear it.
I'm sure. Yeah, and it's your colors. I mean, you're still working with red.
Oh, I know. It's hard to believe when you look at it. Things haven't changed.
So, aside from this being your first, in which means it probably was fairly difficult because it was your first, what would you say with your experience of knitting, what is now, would you call sort of your most difficult or challenging piece that you've taken on?
My most challenging piece. I knit above my knitting grade a lot, so there's a lot of challenging pieces. I guess the most complex would probably be the Joe Bat's arm.
Okay, and remind us which one that is.
Yeah, I'll show a picture of it.
Sure, that sounds great. Yeah.
So this is the Jennifer Beal, and thank goodness Jennifer Beal is an excellent pattern writer because there was lots of times I was like, I don't know what this is going to turn out to be, but I'm just going with it. I follow
the directions.
But the cabling, the color work, the putting it together, and it was her pattern was excellent. So it wasn't that it was hard, but it was complex.
It's just you're combining cables and some color work and unique construction, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
So I mean, it's if you start to knit Rowan patterns, for example, and now I've knit quite a few of them, they kind of follow a formula.
Okay.
So even if the techniques or the pattern is a little bit more difficult, the sweater is made the same way.
Okay.
It's all consistent.
Yes.
So now even the difficult things are not, you know where you're going.
If
you know what to
figured it
expect.
out once, you know it twice.
Yeah,
Okay.
you figure it out. So, but those, some of the other designers that are trying to do different things and stuff like that, then that's, but that would be the one I would say. Yeah.
And I was going to say, it does, her pieces then add some really unique interest points that without her unique construction, you just couldn't get if you did it the traditional way.
Yeah,
so.
and it's not boring to knit at all.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
But it's not TV knitting either.
Oh.
So
you need to focus.
Yeah.
All right. So what is your favorite knitting project that you have made so far?
My favorite
Do you
knitting
have a
project?
favorite?
Well, my Cornwallis, the cotton sweater, I'll put a picture. That's one of my favorite sweaters. And I loved it when I saw it in the magazine, and the Madeline.
Yeah.
And I loved it, but it wasn't really, I knitted in the pattern colors, but there weren't really my colors. But every time I wear it.
Yes, I know exactly which one.
Yeah.
Let's put a picture of that one too. Everyone gushes when you wear that
I
one.
know.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have, I followed the pattern, but I wouldn't have knitted in those colors. In fact, I'm thinking about knitting another one in a different color.
But maybe that one's like a favorite for a different reason.
Yeah.
Because other people comment and like it on you, but not necessarily like the one that you feel most at home in.
I like wearing it too, but I can't believe how many people comment
on it.
Like, so it's but it was stunning in the magazine as well. I think it's the fluff of the kid silkays and the softness of it's kind of romantic or whatever.
And it's fantastic when it translates. What you're seeing in the magazine translates.
That's exactly
to
what you get.
What you're wearing. Yeah. That's always a wonderful feeling.
Yeah, that's
for
exactly
anyone.
what you get. So, but I actually, I don't really knit things that I don't think I'm going to like.
Well, that's good to know. Very good. Way to go.
It takes me too long to do it.
Nice.
So I pick things that I think I'm gonna like.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think probably many of you could guess, but your favorite color, if you could only choose one.
Red.
I think I could have guessed that one. Yeah. And then how do you decide, well, you may have given us a hint there, what you're going to knit? How do you come to the decisions of what project is next?
Sometimes now, because part of my, I knit for a living, sort of, you know, like, I mean, I have to knit for what I do. So, but I really, even then I try to, I'm stubborn about, I don't want to, if I don't want to knit it, I don't knit it. Even if I know it's the right thing to do.
Stick with that.
Yeah,
stick with it.
I'll suggest you knit it.
Okay. Oh my.
This would be good for you to knit.
Well, we're not talking about me today, so we won't get into that. No worries.
But I am lucky because there's enough, like there's three other women that are knitting in the shop, and we all have slightly different styles of what we like.
Yeah.
So that is good. So I don't
variety.
have to knit everything. So that's good.
Wonderful. So you maybe still didn't hone in on, so then how do you choose?
How do I choose? I actually
maybe I can help a little bit. So do you like go for wearability, something you know you'll want to wear, or do you go for I want to work and use these techniques and see what this is like?
I never say that.
Oh,
no.
okay. All right.
I actually the last couple projects that I knit just because I wanted to knit them were things that I've seen other people wear, and I just liked it. I just liked the style of it. So then I like the Jennifer Steingass sweater that I did.
Yes.
That I saw somebody that had one on it, and it's not that exact one, but I thought, oh, I really want to knit one of those.
Okay.
And but I'm not I would say that I'm a process knitter, but I don't seek out different techniques to knit. Like, that's not what motivates me.
I see what you want, and then you make that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Or if I think that I need some kind of a sweater, then I'll look it up and find one.
Okay.
But, yeah.
All right. Very good. Do you keep track like in a journal or some other way of the projects you create?
No, I'm not proud of that.
Although, on the other hand, we're talking 100 episodes right here, right now, today. I think she has a journal without meaning to.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's true,
I'm really
you discuss
bad at
each
that.
one at length.
Yes.
Well, there you go. You've got it covered. You're good. Don't worry about it.
But sometimes I want to look up stuff about what I knit. People will ask me something, and I'll say, "Oh, well, I'll just check if I did project notes on Ravelry. Let me check." Rarely have I done project notes on Ravelry. It's really bad.
Oh,
so
I don't keep notes either.
You know, I have notes on my patterns though.
Okay, well there you go.
So if I had to, if they were really wanted to know, I could go in and get I always copy the pattern so I can take notes on it. And I always have my gauge swatches, what if I change the needle size, what kind of adjustments I made.
So it's there. It's maybe just not in its own
not accessible
little book.
Yeah, that's right.
So I know then for a fact that you're a multifaceted creator, we'll call it. So knitting is not your only creative pursuit. Will you tell us a bit about some other creative projects that you've done or been involved in?
Well, I quilt.
Okay.
So I've got a quilt that I will finish. It's a big one. So I really enjoyed quilting actually, and I've done some rug hooking.
Okay.
So very rudimentary rug hooking, which also is fun. And I've haven't really got into felting too much, although I've done a couple things. And I used to be a pretty avid cross stitcher.
Oh, okay. I have seen some of her cross stitches. They are beautiful.
Yeah, so I used to do that.
We're talking like the big, full-on, complete. Yeah, they're gorgeous.
On linen. I really enjoyed.
Did you say on linen even?
Yeah, so they're on linen.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, that's like next level cross stitching.
Oh,
tiny. So beautiful.
Yeah. I like to count, apparently. I don't know.
Counting stitches.
Yeah.
She doesn't count sheep, she counts stitches.
Yes, that's right.
Oh. And so you mentioned earlier that you love books.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite book in your library? And it could be a knitting book or it could be just otherwise.
None of my favorite books are knitting books.
Okay.
I have a lot of knitting books, but I like to collect things. So I have a lot of knitting books. But my favorite book that I read, and was also a movie, which is my favorite movie, is Sophie's Choice.
Oh, do I know?
Meryl Streep played in the movie. It's heartbreaking and very. It's a really I don't know why I like it. It's very depressing.
You know what though? Some things in life are like that. They connect with us. I mean, maybe don't always know why, and sometimes I figure we don't have to always look that deep.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's if I had to name one, but my favorite author is actually
Sophie's Choice. You said because a bunch of people are going to go ahead and look it up too.
Yeah, it's been around for a long time, and the movie is good too. So even when they start the movie, I start crying. Even before we get to the part. Yeah, because I know what's coming. And but I would have to say my favorite author is John Irving.
Okay.
So I like a lot of his books.
A lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's good.
Irreverent and
just
a very good writer, but yeah. So
good. So folks can go look up those too and join Kim in reading. Okay, so we'll move into another little bit of a section here as a business owner.
Yeah.
What are your greatest joys and challenges, sort of both, of running your own business?
I actually remember the first day that somebody came into the shop and actually gave me money for something I made. And I was like, that was a pretty thrilling day.
That was,
that was pretty, I mean, I don't know what we expected. We opened a store, so I hope that somebody was going to give me money for something.
You created a product and someone wanted it.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a pretty amazing feeling.
Yeah. So that's pretty amazing. And I don't know, day-to-day business, I guess it's like we meet a wide variety of people and I mean, it's around something that people are, it's a hobby.
Yes.
So it's around something that's pleasant for people to do. Yes. So it's cool.
So you're generally meeting nice people who are happy about seeing you too.
Well,
I can vouch. Some people are very happy when they come in here and find Kim. You can see their minds are being a bit blown. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
I might have been one of those people. I will fully confess. I went back to the car and I was like, I can't believe it.
Oh my God, it's so funny.
Oh, well, you're a wonderful lady to meet.
Oh, thank you.
We already talked a bit about your career path. We'll skip over that one. Let's see. Looking back, can you identify a moment in your life that at the time was kind of just like you didn't necessarily recognize it, but looking back, you go, that was a life-changing moment? And it doesn't have to be in terms of your business or knitting, but just like, is there a moment that you can remember in life that you go, that things were about to change?
Wow. Yeah, well, actually, yes. It had to do with work. So it's maybe this is how come I ended up here.
Okay.
So it was, because that was a pretty crystallizing moment. I was in a meeting, actually, and it was a meeting that was going on for 6 hours. And we were discussing the color of lipstick that a model was going to wear in an ad.
For 6 hours?
Almost.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, this is 6 hours of my life I'm never going to get back. So I was like, really?
The passion was no longer there.
I might be exaggerating a little bit, but I was like, and I forget what was going on in the world. Something probably. I mean, there always is something that's way more important. Yeah. And I was like, oh boy, okay. And that's not to say that I had a great career and I worked for a great company.
And we have nothing against lipstick.
No, we have not. I'm wearing lipstick right now. But it just was like, it was the moment that I realized that I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. That you were just ready to move on.
That I was after 25 years. I didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, that is a full career in and of itself. 25 years. So looking forward, are there any future aspirations or plans that you can share with us at this time in regards to Fleece and Harmony, as like plans for expansion or something you want to introduce to the shop, the mill, or maybe your farm?
Well, you know, I've had a full career and we bought the farm in 2012. So I've been farming for that long. Yeah. There's not that many years left, Betsy. I don't know. I think I want to retire.
Well, that's perfectly acceptable. No, that's not an aspiration to have more hours a day to just knit for you.
Yeah,
perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I want to continue. We haven't accomplished everything that we want to accomplish with the mill and the shop and everything. So there's more, but it's kind of following the same path.
Yes.
But after this, I think that I want to go on vacation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. We can work on making that happen. Yeah. Okay, so just a few quick, what I've called rapid fire short questions here for folks. If you could travel anywhere, where would you go?
I would go back to the UK.
Back to the UK, okay. Yeah. Any one place in particular?
I was just talking about this with somebody. We've toured Ireland and we've toured Scotland, but I've never actually toured around England. So I think I would like to go and see like the countryside. I'm not really interested in London, but yeah.
Favorite food to eat?
Well, the first thing that popped into my head is French fries, but that's not really true. I don't know.
I love French fries.
I don't know if that's true. French fries. You know what my favorite meal is? It's turkey dinner.
You like a turkey dinner?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So do you
typical Thanksgiving and Christmas? It's got to be turkey.
So do you do that at holidays?
Yeah.
Do you do up a whole turkey dinner?
That's right.
Nice. Good for you. I have to admit that's not my favorite.
It's
but
not?
It still happens at our house every time. Favorite thing to drink?
Wine.
Wine, okay. All right.
I hardly drink wine anymore.
White?
Red, definitely.
Red. Dry? Sweet?
Dry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you can finish your sentence.
I hardly drink wine anymore, but although I've become I really like a dark and stormy every now and then too. Do you know what that is?
No.
Okay, it's ginger beer.
Ginger beer?
With, what is it, whiskey? Yeah, ginger beer with whiskey and lime.
Well, I do like whiskey and limes. I love a whiskey sour, so I could maybe get behind that one.
It's completely different. It's very spicy.
I don't mind that,
Ginger beer is like hot,
all right.
spicy.
Well, some Friday we'll have to give her a go.
Yeah.
Favorite type of footwear?
Used to be high heels, but now I think it's moccasins.
Moccasins, oh. She shows them off. Nice.
This is a pair of LL Bean moccasins that actually have no soft stuff
Nothing
inside
left
them,
in
just
them?
the leather.
There you
So,
go. Well,
yeah.
I think that you can count that as a step closer to retirement.
Yeah. My father would have a fit
Oh.
because he says never trust anybody that wears slippers outside of the house.
Oh. What are slippers these days?
Yeah.
Ever since UGG hit the market, there's no
that's right.
question as to what a slipper
Yeah,
is.
I think wearing pajama bottoms outside of the house is worse.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go.
He had a thing about people wearing slippers.
Your favorite music? Style or band or otherwise?
Celtic music,
Celtic
but I
okay.
also like classical music.
Nice.
So when I'm knitting and I don't want to watch TV and I just want to I listen to classical music actually. Yeah.
Nice. So do you have a favorite composer?
No, I'm
okay.
not really sophisticated about
Oh,
it. It's just
okay.
I just like I like cello, kind of like that kind of thing.
Okay. Have I ever told you I play the cello?
No.
Oh. Well,
Oh
we'll
my
move on
goodness.
from that.
Okay.
So would you wear socks with sandals?
Never.
Okay. Good to know. What hung on your bedroom wall as a teenager? Whether it was a poster or a picture or a photograph?
I guess the only poster that I had was Leif Garrett.
Oh.
Do you know who that is? A poster right out of the center of Teen Beat or Tiger Beat
okay.
or whatever it was. Yeah.
All right.
I don't know. I don't even like them. I wouldn't even be able to tell you anything about them, but I know that I had a poster of that.
Everyone else had it, so did you.
Yeah, that's right.
Your favorite animal?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
You're an animal lover. You seem to be quite happy with them all.
I like my horses. I like but if I had to choose one animal to have as a pet, I think I would have a cat.
A cat. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good on Clyde.
Yeah.
Lucky
I like
Clyde.
dogs. I like dogs too, but I think I would have a cat if I had to have one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. And what would you not eat even if you were paid?
Canned asparagus.
Yeah, that sounds pretty wretched.
It's terrible.
There we go.
I've eaten it.
Oh. And is there something, motivational phrase or a quote that you can leave us all with that just sort of represents how you pursue life?
Well, I would say it's not a quote, but don't tell me I can't do something.
A mantra would be another one,
Yeah,
and that would fit in there.
Can't is not.
It's not.
That's it. You say that I can't, then that's for sure you're going to get it.
Well, and that explains all of your challenging knits then. And everything. I think that sums up pretty well.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kim, for sharing
right.
all of this with me and with the rest of us.
Yes.
I'm sure there'll be lots of comments and such. And I hope you guys enjoyed too.
Yeah. Thanks, Betsy.
You're welcome.
Okay. We'll see you back for Wallflowers.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, so here we are in our regular spot after all of that interview. Phew, I was tired out. Anyway, that's a lot of questions. I don't think there's anything that you don't know about me now. So that's it. So that's great. So now we're just going to do a few of the little regular little sections that we do. I will show tungsten today. I haven't gotten much knitting done, and you'll see in the wallflower section that I fully admit that I've been doing wallflowers the whole time. And we didn't do a proper farm update either, so I just wanted to let everybody know. We talked about house renovations at one point, and today they started. So they started ripping apart our house, the kitchen and stuff. So I will show some pictures of that, not in this episode, but as we move along. But I think I'm going to wait until I have a few pictures and everything to show like different stages so I can show all at once, because otherwise it was just a snapshot of a kitchen wrecked. So I'll do that. So people had said you want to see some of that progress, but I won't do it in every episode. I'll just do it when there's something to talk about. So we'll do whips and rips right now. So I'm not going to show the cowl cardigan. I showed that the last time, and I'm not going to show paisley because there's nothing new, but I did work on tungsten. And I have the back, or the front now is done up to the point where I start the next shaping. So this is all the knitting, the straight knitting that I have to do. Then I'm just going to do the neck shaping and the shoulders. That will go pretty quick, so the front will be done. So now the next time you see it, obviously you'll have the front and the back of tungsten, and then it'll be the sleeves, which I will do 2 at a time. So hopefully they will go fairly quickly. And I just need to, I'm just going to fold this in a way that you can see. I just need to redo the lines on the back, because I'm going to duplicate stitch over the lines that I have there, because the lines on the front are heavier because they're duplicate stitched. So I don't know if you can really see that, but that's what I'm going to do on tungsten next. And I will also update on Jennifer Hicks' Rocket Tee, because she has worked on that. She had company this week, so she is always knitting a couple projects. So she's managed to get quite a lot done on this, the Rocket Tee as well. So here we go. She is... So she's almost got all of the length done. She's got a few more stripes to do. And then she just has the I-cord to do around the sleeves and around the sleeves and the neck. And again, this is made out of Point Prim sock yarn in slate. And she's got Kid Silk Haze color yarn that she's using. And again, this has a very slight variegation, which you probably can't even see. It just gives a little bit of texture to those Kid Silk Haze lines. So this is great. So we're all working, but they're on our projects, but then stuff's happening in life as well. So that's it. So that's all the knitting projects I'm going to show this time. And I don't really have a shop update, so I will just tell you that in the shop right now, what's happening right now is that cotton seems to be the hot ticket. So if you're thinking about knitting something in cotton, Rowan has a couple really beautiful cottons, 4 actually. I would say the most popular one is the Summer Light DK. That's the cotton that I made my Cornwallis sweater out of. And there's Summer Light 4-ply, which is a lighter version. And there's hand knit cotton. That's a lot heavier, so you don't really see as many summer things being made out of that. And there's cotton glacé as well. And cotton glacé is the yarn that Betsy is using to do her mineral project. And that's also a fantastic yarn. So if you want to knit something summery, a t-shirt or a summer shirt, then I would highly recommend the Rowan cotton. And I've said this before, that I've knit with cotton before and wasn't happy with it, and I've just find that these the Rowan cottons are really nice, and that's why I carry all of them. So if I didn't think that they were nice, I wouldn't carry them. I knit my first sweater out of the Summer Light DK, and then I got the rest of the cottons in, because I felt that it was worth the investment, because they were lovely to knit with, and the project results are really nice as well. So that's about it that I'm going to talk about the shop. I think we'll go to the Wallflower blanket section now with Betsy, so you can see what progress we made. It's kind of short this time. We're not doing a big preamble. It's just right to the Wallflowers, and there's very specific things that we were able to finish. So we're going to pop over there and see that. Hi again, Betsy.
We're back.
We're back. Little change of set.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the Wallflower section, and we're only going to talk about Wallflowers today. So there's no part 1 introduction to Wallflowers, and then
this is it.
This is it. So we've had 3 or 4 modules or whatever since that have happened. Yeah. So I am still not caught up. And
I'm actually starting to lose track of like what caught up is too. So we are where we are.
Yeah, that's right.
And we will share that with you.
Yes. So because I started to panic a little bit and decided I can't just finish all of the one stage and then go to the next, because I want to try to build part of the garlands. So I'm going to show the stages. So that will kind of be like a recap.
Perfect.
Of
that sounds great.
What we've done, because now yours is all...
Mine is like a... Yeah, I'm one step away from having everything that we have created attached.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I'm gonna show
garland here.
Mine. So not this one.
Oh,
first.
not that one. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So the garland this was the first step that we had to do. Got a little bit, I've sewed my ends.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. So this was the first, some of them. So this was the first step that we had to make.
Yeah.
And what was it, 84 of these little
these little pieces here,
and then join them all together.
Join them with the next round.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the next round, the next thing to do after you had this all done and joined was you made these flowers.
Little guys.
And these were called the small 3D
Yes.
flowers.
Yeah.
So you had to make, I forget, 14 of these,
Yes.
I think. Yes.
Yeah.
So I have most of them done,
I
but
can
not
see here
quite
you've
all.
got some of your like the flowers done,
Yeah.
but not the green
The
leaf on them.
outside, the green leaf. So this
Yeah.
is the beginning stage, and then it looks like
The
this.
leaf.
And then you put that in the garland.
Fills in
like
those
this.
holes there.
Yeah. So, and we talked about that
Yeah,
in the
we
last
did.
episode
Yes.
about how to get them in right.
Attach them in.
So then there's that. So then that's it that's it that I have done attached to the garland. But the next step after this is that you make these little pebble flowers.
So it's another style of flower. I think you've got
Yeah.
some of those
Yeah.
backwards there. Oh,
Yeah.
that's representative of all your colors.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you do 3 different colors of that.
Yeah.
They start out with this little,
Tiny little centers.
these centers. Then you do an edge around that, which is, they're all different crochet stitches.
Yes, all different crochet stitches.
And then you do the pebble. And then there's a joining round
that goes around that as
to
well.
go in.
Which
And
I can maybe
you
show.
can show where they go.
On mine. So then they get attached we're moving inwards.
Right.
At the moment we're moving, so the garlands will eventually be attached and we're moving inwards to fill that circle in the middle, or the oval or whatever in the middle. So these are the last ones she showed you there.
Yeah, and you're using a
attached here.
darker background color around
Because
them.
I've switched from
So mine will be light.
lighter.
Mine
Yes.
will be light and
Exactly.
Betsy's is dark.
And then we can talk a bit about what has happened since.
So you can, this is really good because you can see yours is lighter here
Yes.
and darker, and mine is the
yours
exact
is-
opposite.
I'll hold this.
So if you see that my darker shades that we have
It's awkward to
already
hold.
is there.
Yeah.
And then these little pebbles are going to go in, and you can see that they're even lighter.
Yeah, and they get a lighter background even than what you've got there.
So that's
Just keeps building.
Yeah. And then
Then the next step from there, we go into these great big flowers. Now, mine is not a true representation of how many colors are actually found in this flower. Because I went a little rogue, because I'm really wanting to highlight and make these like full-on lily pads with flowers on them. So you will see with Kim's when she gets to them that there's actually a bit more variety of color here in the leaf, and then a bit more variety of color on this edging here. But I chose to just stick with green leaf, blue water is what I'm going for. So it's all good, except that I now have to pay attention to where I'm going because of yarn quantities and making sure that it makes sense. So I was so in my head about this this morning as I'm supposed to get up and I'm getting ready for work, and I stepped down one step to look out the window and I'm thinking so hard about this, and then I went to step backwards and forgot I was down a step and literally like fell straight back onto my arse.
oh no!
Enough that my youngest daughter woke up and was like, came out of her bedroom, what's going on?
Oh,
Like,
no!
it's okay, I'm all good. I just really need to get out of my head about this color thing. It'll all work out. So even though it's knocked me back on my backside, it's coming along, and I'm positive I can find my way back.
So can we hold this up
Yes.
and show where these go?
Oh, this is tricky. I think we can.
Because
so
they do go right
So
in
there's
here.
only 6 of these. Is it 6? 2? Yes. I think 6. 6 or 8. 6. 6 of these that we put in, and they'll kind of, it still needs another couple of rounds here.
Okay.
So it's not fully ready, but it will go in there.
Oh, okay.
And then it will actually be with this patch here that we join the whole thing together, I believe.
Yeah. Okay.
So-
So I think another one
hard to-
goes like or here maybe. Or,
Yeah, there'll be 6 of them kind of all the way around there.
This is really beautiful.
I love yours too. I think
Wow,
they're both
they're
coming
very
along.
different, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Gorgeous.
what's great about them. The colors are so,
Yeah.
I just love it. Yeah.
So yeah, lovely. Okay, so that's so we've gone through quite a lot of yarn already.
We have.
Yeah.
Well, you were doing the tally completely today, so I don't know how many balls we haven't necessarily finished.
No, I still
that many balls or skeins.
But there's balls that I'm running.
Yeah, I've moved into the second of some
ball.
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's the blanket takes 43 balls of felted tweed.
Total.
So it's but it seems I'm not caught up obviously, but you go through them fairly quickly.
Well, I think what I've heard from other folks is crochet does eat up more yarn than knitting, and that is just the style because you're doing so much twisting around the yarn. So that's just, you just have to accept that as a crocheter and embrace it and go with it.
Yeah, but for me, because it takes me so long to knit through a ball, I'm like, oh, look at this. I'm already through the first
So there you go.
So, but the fact that I can remark on that, it definitely goes fast. It goes faster.
Yeah,
so
you are using them.
A lot of crocheters like to say that it's so much faster than knitting, but I have to agree.
It is.
Yeah,
it is. And I think like a stitch can just be so much larger than a knit stitch can be, even with a thinner yarn.
Right. So some of these we're doing a double treble.
Well, see, she's working in British terms too, and I convert to American terms in my head. But yeah, so you're going all the way up to, I think she calls it a double treble. I just know it as a treble.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Is that what a treble is?
I believe
so.
You've just learned what she's taught you.
I'm a UK crocheter.
Which, go with it.
Yeah.
Hang on to that. Yeah, that's fine. It all, I mean, in the end, it's all the same stitch anyway. Just called different things.
Right. So then that's it. And do you know what's next? I didn't look today.
Actually, I think we're headed into a Zoom week.
Oh,
which is perfect for me because I'm headed off on vacation. Mm-hmm. So I was having a little panic about, as this grows, it's not, I would not call it a travel project.
No, because you really a little bit unwieldy when you're on the
When
table.
you're working on the small pieces, it's great. Yes. But then when you go to attach them,
you have to really maneuver it around to go all the way around the hexagons and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So it is. So now I've moved to a table where I just have it all spread out as
and
well.
You can just like
slide it around,
shift it as you go. So,
yeah, it's still fun though.
It is.
Yeah,
it is very fun.
Really...
And like it's always different. So then this one here also introduces some different styles of stitches that we haven't done yet.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, she does a really, really good job of it to keep it engaging. And exciting.
Right. And you you crocheted a lot because you were obviously teaching me some stuff, but you didn't do a lot of different stitches.
I didn't do a lot of different stitches, no. I mean, I knew them because you would use like in one part of a creation, you would use a double crochet or a triple crochet for one little section. But it was never like combining them all in this many different ways.
So would you still say, because I'm kind of a different type of, like, I would still say that you could be not a very proficient crocheter and be successful with this project.
And I think so much of that has to do with Sue's videos, her tutorials.
Yes.
You can slow it down and watch exactly every move she makes. And she's just so good about making sure her hands are out of the way so you can, and she talks you through exactly what she's doing.
Yeah.
Even when, so she'll say, okay, we're going to do a double treble. And then she will describe exactly what she's doing, how many yarn overs and pull throughs that is. And so I think if you have the patience to learn it, this would be a fantastic tutorial of like, you start as a crocheter, you're going to come out, or as a new crocheter, you will come out as a crocheter.
Yeah. And I mean, she doesn't say that it's a beginner project, but I would think if you're an adventurous beginner and you pay attention to the details, like she really spoon feeds you. Really,
she does. And then if you think of how much repetition we're doing with each piece, so it's not like you're just doing it once and then moving on in the pattern. So with me, when I do it, pardon me, I'm fumbling over my words. If I just do something once in a pattern, I will have to watch a video or get a tutorial the next time I come to it. But with these, I feel like we do each section enough times that I'm not having to watch the video or read the pattern by the time I finish the pebble or whatever, because I've got it down in my mind, and the muscle memory starts to get it too.
Yes,
so,
it's amazing.
Yeah.
So we're still enjoing it.
Yeah,
it is still a little bit addictive. So addictive that I'm not sure where in the video this will be, but there's not much knitting happening.
Not much knitting has happened.
No.
It's also middle of the summer. Isn't that a time when it's understandable when you're not wanting to hold wool?
Yeah, well, so this is what happens, is that my feet hit the floor at 5:30.
Yes.
Or Ken's feet hit the floor, and one of us goes for coffee at 5:30 down to the coffee maker. And then I get up and I start crocheting.
And
it's amazing that I'm not further than where I am.
Well, because then you also have to head out to the barn, and then eventually you come out to the mill.
That's right. But I'm like literally in every spare minute.
Excited
that's
to
what
get
I'm
up and
trying. Yes, and I don't. I want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Me too.
so it is a little. It's a little bit of a everything's a rabbit hole, I guess, at some point, but. Anyway, so that's good. So I'm hopefully, so you're going to be away.
I am going to be away next time. So I will not be here with you. It'll just be Kim.
Just be me.
Yeah.
And then but you're not taking your Wallflowers.
I'm not going to. We're doing a drive. Right. So we're going from here to Ontario. So it's almost a 20-hour drive.
Yeah.
So even though I'm in the car, I find I don't knit or crochet real well in the car. It makes me a little bit nauseous.
Yeah, me too.
And then while I'm traveling from different families' houses, I don't want to risk missing or losing anything, and I just think it's just not an ideal size project to bring.
So I will hopefully I'll make it my goal to catch up to you, so then we're together.
There we go.
Together again. I'll try to do that.
Well, and I think you have a Zoom week coming up, so you shouldn't be getting too much new content. So,
yes, and these. I don't know because I haven't started this, but there's only 6 of them.
There are only 6. Now, not to frighten you, because I think it might be my headspace, but I have had to pull out and redo more of these than any.
Oh, is that right?
But it also might be because I'm playing with the colors.
Oh, okay.
So just, trying to decide and make sure that that's really where I want to go with the colors. Right. So sometimes I'm pulling it out. This is the first one I think that we really have to pay attention to some stitch count, because we're going well over the 12 that we've been counting up to.
Oh, okay. Which I even got wrong.
Okay.
I had a popcorn. Remember I told you?
Oh, yes,
that they had a popcorn that had 13 petals.
Yes.
I found it.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I in the wrong place? I was doing my thing, my edging, and I was like, I'm not supposed to be doing a corner here. I'm supposed to be doing a corner in the next. So I ripped it all out.
Yeah.
Then I thought, just count the petals and see, and there was 13 instead of 12. However, the good news is that I went with it, I fudged it, and it fits in perfectly. Well, you'd be hard pressed. It's very forgiving.
Yeah, I was going to say crochet is very forgiving compared to if you're knitting a garment. Maybe if you were knitting a blanket where you've got pieces, you might be able to. I don't know. Knitting is pretty you
precise.
Can see,
more precise.
So you can certainly shift a bit. However, she does actually tell you when you get to, I think it's this round, that count your stitches and make sure you have the right amount, because I think it's going to matter for when we attach, because we're going to attach in a slightly different way than we have so far.
Oh, okay.
So
great. Yeah, I'm really excited to get to
that. I'm excited to see yours, because you're going to do
all
the color variety.
Colors.
Yeah, where I went a little bit
lovely.
Less.
Yeah,
in the colors.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's it.
That's all we've got today.
All right, so have a good trip.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Bye. Well, I think Betsy's Wallflower is just perfect. It's almost exactly like what she would have imagined, I think, with that the water lilies picture is really turning out to be like that. I can hardly wait for me to start putting in some of the other colors in mine, so I'm going to see what it's going to grow up to be. It's amazing how different they are. Hers is so the pops against the bright colors against the dark colors, whereas mine is much more muted. So it's going to be really interesting to see the two of them side by side and the differences you can get with that same project. Okay, next I'm going to talk about Aren and Carlos. So the tickets are not ready to go on sale yet. I just have a little bit of organization to do with the hotel. I have to have the classes at a hotel because I don't have a room in my shop to run all of the classes and for the other parts of the event. But I will give you a little bit more information. So the first thing that's going to happen is a lecture. That's on the evening before the workshops start. And each of the workshops, there's 4 workshops and a lecture. Each of those components you can buy tickets for separately. So you can buy tickets for everything, or you can pick and choose what you want to attend. So the lecture is the first one, and it's about their progression of their design journey, and we've seen a lecture from them before, and they're always engaging and funny and charming. So it's going to be probably a very fun night, and I think they're going to do a question and answer section as well on that. So that kicks off the visit. And I think there's around 75 tickets that are available for that. The classes, the maximum attendance is 30 each for the classes, and there's going to be 4 classes. And this is not in any order of how they're going to be on this schedule, but the first one is knitting and purling the Norwegian way. So with that class, you are going to learn to make a hat, but you're going to learn the Norwegian knitting and purling technique to do that hat. The next class is a color work class, so doing stranded knitting the Norwegian way. And for that class, they actually have designed a special Christmas ornament that will be taught at that class. So you're going to learn the Norwegian way to do stranded knitting. They are also going to do a class on the layered color work technique that I think they developed it. So that was used in one of their new Nordic books, but they're going to teach you to do that. And that is also, the project that goes with that class is also a different hat with the layered color work. And finally, the 4th class is going to be a crochet class to do their primrose motifs and to make a crocheted blanket. So all of those workshops are all going to be 3 hours each and will take place one in the morning and one in the afternoon for 2 days. So it's going to be pretty action-packed, and I hope that you'll enjoy the selection of workshops that they're going to do. And I'm sure it's going to be a great time and fun. And like I said, I'll give you more information in the newsletter. So if you want to learn about all of the details first, then you can subscribe to our newsletter from the homepage on our website. And hopefully we'll see a lot of you at the end of November for the Aren and Carlos event. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be great to have them here. So I am going to do my list of 5, and I took a suggestion from a viewer that made a few suggestions for me for the list of 5, which were great suggestions. And the one that I chose to do this week is the men's sweaters, so sweaters for men. And let me tell you, if you go on Ravelry and you find men's sweaters and you put it in, there's quite a few sweaters that come up. It's not so easy to find really good ones. And as you know, on this list of 5, I read through the project notes and I read through the comments that are made. And there's just, it's a little bit tricky because some of the patterns are not rated very highly. So I really took some time to find some really ones that the comments were all good. The ratings in Ravelry were really high. Like usually I do above 4 or 4.5, but I made sure that they were at the really high end on these. And so I think I picked out 5 really great sweaters. I will say, before I get into the list of 5, is that there are some great books that have come out recently with men's sweaters that are lovely. So Marie Wallen's new book, Cumbria, actually has designs in it for men. And I didn't check Ravelry for those specifically, but I'm assuming that they're not available on Ravelry individually since she just launched the book. And I do want this list to be accessible to everybody, so that's why I've and I know not everybody is on Ravelry, but that's the one source where there's a lot of people have access to it. So there's Marie Wallen's book, and Martin Story also has books like the Union book that he did for Rowan a couple seasons ago has all men's sweaters in it as well. And I have included Martin Story in this list because he's just a great designer. He does things that look relatively simple, but yet they're stylish and timeless. So he makes an appearance on this list with a sweater from Journeyman, which was another book that Rowan published for him a number of years ago that's no longer in print, but the patterns are available on Ravelry individually. So that made that one accessible. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is JAIDEN. And also the same viewer that made some suggestions for the list also suggested that I leave the pattern up while I'm talking about it, which I'm going to do. So you should be seeing JAIDEN here now. So this one is by Isabel Kramer. So Isabel Kramer is just a fantastic designer, and her patterns are well written. And so this is really just a great, I read the comments, and she's got great comments on this sweater. It's for sale on Ravelry. It's around $8 Canadian, and it has a really interesting yoke with some detail on the elbow. So I'm not sure how much of the detail you're going to be able to see, but the yoke is knit in double seed stitch. So double seed stitch seems to be a theme with me lately because that's what my cowl cardigan is knit in as well. And you have details on the elbow, and I did read through some of the project notes, and some people chose to leave that detail on the elbow off, like it's a kind of like a faux elbow patch. So you can do that as well if you don't like that. So the construction seems a little bit different because the top is done back and forth, but then the body is knit in the round. So you have a little bit of both happening there. So that's the JAIDEN sweater by Isabel Kramer, and I think it just looks stunning, kind of interesting with that double seed stitch on the yoke. It gives a lot of interest and just a beautiful pattern. The second sweater that I chose is CAINE by Martin Story, and that is actually out of the Journeyman book, but like I said, you can buy the pattern on Ravelry. It's about $9.50 Canadian, and it is knit out of felted tweed. So I have a whole new appreciation for felted tweed after doing my work with the Wallflowers blanket. I knit a sweater for Ken actually out of felted tweed held with Kid Silk Haze, but felted tweed on its own, I'm having a new appreciation for it. So this is a sweater that was designed for felted tweed. It's perfectly plain crew neck with raglan sleeves. So there's nothing fancy about it. There's not a lot of bells and whistles, but if you want just a really nice sweater, and because the felted tweed is quite fine, it's a little bit dressy. It's not bulky, so it's just a really gorgeous, perfectly plain sweater, and it had great comments, and the patterns are always consistent with Rowan, and they are pieced, but once you've knit one, then they follow the same kind of formula as far as how the pattern is put together. So this would be the same in this case. So that's CAINE by Martin Story. The third one is called the Montrealer, so by a Canadian designer, and it's been designed by Designs by Delz, so that's D-E-L-Z, but I have the title underneath anyway. It's $10 on Ravelry. It's made from worsted yarn. It's a hoodie, so there's a few men's sweaters that are hoodies, and I just really, really like this one. It's really refined. The comments are fantastic on the project. You have the stripes with the different colors, so you have two different color stripes, and I love the fact that one of the stripes has that accent right in the center of the chest, and it's just a gorgeous design. He's also designed a mini Montrealer, so for a child as well, so you can look that pattern up as well, so you could have your Montrealer and your mini Montrealer for one of your children. So it's really, really lovely. And I have the fourth one on my list is called Metamorphic, and it's designed by a designer I haven't heard before. It's Lisa K. Ross, and the company or her design house is Paper Daisy Creations. This pattern is on Ravelry. It's $10, and it's a Henley style sweater. So it has like a button, a placket in the front, and she's showing it with buttons, but there's lots of people that didn't put the buttons on it as well. And you just have a V-neck sort of, like with the tab. And I just really, really love the color work. It's very sophisticated and just lovely. It's also knit in a worsted weight yarn, and a size from children to adult. And I just find it's very sophisticated looking and lovely. I couldn't do a top 5 list without mentioning Kate Davies on this one, because she has made one of the most refined and sophisticated sweaters that I think I've seen in a while. It's the Ardmore Gansey, and it was first published in the Inspired by Isla book that she did, which we carry in stock if you are interested in the book. The pattern is $10 on Ravelry, and it's a bottom up knit in the round sweater, but the sleeves are set in. So even though you're knitting in the round and you have bottom up, you actually have like this sophisticated tailored look because the sleeves are set in and they're done from the top down. So you knit from the top down and then set in the sleeves. And I just love this sweater. If anybody asks me in the shop about knitting a men's sweater, I either tell them about the Huxley by Lisa Richardson, which I knit for Ken, or I tell them about this one and show it to them in the book, because just that little bit of cable on the yoke, and I just find it's really really a nice sophisticated sweater, fairly thin, so it looks a bit dressy in the styling of it. So it's a really, really nice one. And if you've knit a Kate Davies pattern before, you know that her pattern writing is absolutely impeccable. She tells you everything that you need to know, and if there's techniques that she thinks there might not be as well known, then she gives references to learn about those techniques. So that's the top 5 for men, and I was surprised at how difficult it was to find some really good patterns. And by good, I don't mean that they're super, fancy, but just some really good patterns that people have made really positive comments about. And these were 5 that I felt were really, I feel really confident to be able to suggest them to you. So if you just saw something flying around, there are, I don't know, because we've been getting rain and sun, the flies are around, house flies are around like crazy. So they're driving us nuts. So if you see something flying around, that's what it is. So now we're almost to the end actually of the podcast, and I want to talk about the Fibre Festival. And this time want to show a little video, a promotional video that was done. So one of the organizers on the festival committee actually owns a media company. So just for fun, she did this little video with one of the people that works with her, and I just thought it was really cute. So I'm going to show that. So the sheep had a dream. So we had a dream, and you can see that there's going to be some crazy knitters there. So that's great. And I want to talk a little bit about the Fibre Lounge. The Fibre Lounge will be where the podcasters and some of the knitting celebrities that we have are going to be based. They'll be around in the Fibre Festival, and some of them are doing workshops and so forth. But in the Fibre Lounge, there's a limited access to the Fibre Lounge, and you'll be able to have a little bit more access to the fibre people. There's a breakfast one, and there's always food involved with the Fibre Lounge as well. So the breakfast one is with Shirley Payton, and she is just a great designer of well-tailored knitwear, and she will be there for breakfast. So there's will be a light breakfast served, and Shirley will be available in the Fibre Lounge to talk to people. She's just a wealth of knowledge about fit and design and styling of knitting. She has a course on Craftsy that I actually took. I bought that class, and I still use elements of that class today with my knitting for fit and design elements, like making adjustments and that kind of thing. And it was really an important first step on how to make sure your knitting actually fits you as well. I learned from that class. Then there's going to be 2 sessions with Andrea and Madeline. So there's a session in the mid-morning, and then there's a session after lunch as well. So and will be sampling of foods we have a really strong culinary aesthetic here in PEI, and there'll be foods from different local food artisans that will be sampled at those 2 Fibre Lounge classes. And finally, in the Fibre Fan Lounge is Kristen Drysdale from Scandiwork Knits, and she is, as you know, she has the new Nordic Knitting Primer, which is her book, which has now gone into second print. So I'm just waiting for my order to come. So there's been a bit of a delay. So that's really a great book if you haven't taken a look at that. So Kristen will be in the Fibre Fan Lounge at the end of the day. And she is just, she's a very prolific designer. She is just fantastic. The knitting primer is really like a tour de force as far as taking you step by step into learning things. So there'll be snacks available as well at that lounge session. So I hope that you check those out and can find something there that you'll find interesting, and a good chance to get to know a little bit more about those knitting celebrities. There's also 2 entertainment events that are happening on both the Friday and the Saturday night. So there's 2 sessions of each of these events. One of them is a traditional ceilidh, and it is being held in Surrey, Prince Edward Island, and there's a bus that's going to take participants from the hotel to go there. And the venue is owned by one of the best Celtic fiddlers in the Maritimes, JJ Chasson. So he is having that event, and there's going to be a light refreshment there as well. And you're going to learn to do Celtic squares. So that's a type of dancing that you have a collar. It's like square dancing, sort of, but there's different steps. It's not like traditional big skirt square dancing. It's a Scottish type of dancing that we do around here in the Maritimes at ceilidhs. There's also an event called the Harbour Hullabaloo, which is being held in Beaconsfield, which is an old historic home that has a carriage house, and that event is going to be in the carriage house, and that's the Pendergasts are the ones that are going to be hosting that event. And there is going to be music and storytelling and food as well at that. It seems like we really make sure that the food is an important part, but we like our culinary things here. So those 2 events, so those are things that are a little bit different that are happening at the Fibre Festival that I wanted to bring to your attention, that some of it might interest you. And we hope to see everybody there. And I think that's it. It's a wrap for the 100th episode. It's a little bit of a long one. And we have the harmony part coming up. And again, it's a mystery. We're not sure what it was. So it worked out pretty well the last time. And we're going to see, I think we might take a walk to the beach. that might be what we're going to do. We'll see, but you'll know when you see it, because we might change our mind. I don't know. So I hope everybody has a wonderful 2 weeks. Thank you very much for your comments. Thank you to whoever it was that sent me the flowers. They were beautiful, or are beautiful. And I hope you have joy in your knitting or your crafting or your crocheting, whatever it is that you're doing, and a great 2 weeks. And we'll see you back here in 2 weeks' time. Off to the harmony part. Bye.
Bye.